Man, this is the Pass the Bag podcast. It's not enough for you to get that bag. You got to know how to keep that bag. And if you want to keep that bag, you got to share the bag. You dig. Tell them who you are, sir.
Well, I was born Robert Edward Patterson II, but these days, many names that I have. Some people call me Mr. P from the 313, Bobby Pins, Beat Pins, all of these types of things. Of course, Rob, Bob, Bobby. I answer to all of it as long as it is with love and respect. That's who I am.
I'm Agent Black. I answer to Agent Black or Mr. Black, nothing else. Nah, just kidding. But thank you, man. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the Passive Vibe podcast. Today we talking about artists. We get into the artist bag. And let's start with that money bag, because money makes the world go round, is what they say.
Bow wow wow yippee yo yippee yay. It goes a little something like this. There's a few indicators that you might be ready for an artist manager. And this is a conversation that we have off of the air often. A.black, for those of you who don't know, those of you who are new, remember to subscribe, tune in, bookmark us, tell a friend, all the rest of that, pass that bag. A.black is a fantastic uh, performer. He performs live. He also writes and produces music. And we have this conversation where I say to my good brother, I say, "Good brother,
Good brother.
yeah, how we doing in terms of charming an artist, getting a manager, uh, into the situation, getting a manager because I'm a firm believer, and I don't feel like it's refuted that many of the artists who I might want to be like, or that Adrian might want to be like, that an artist has been an integral part. A manager, excuse me, has been an integral part of how they build their careers. And so most of the time that's relegated to the background. People don't see managers a lot of times, so they're not thinking about managers. But managers are a very important part of how, when you really want to step your game up, when you really want to be able to just focus on being an artist and maximize your ability to have impact as an artist and impact through your art. It's because you have a team, and because that team is
Yes.
helping to be able to helping you to be able to carry the weight. So we want to talk about the artist manager relationship thing right here in this money bag. So anything you want to say before we kick off into these specific points, A Black?
I'd add I'd no, I'd just say teams, man. When you say teams, that's the whole point. Teams and systems. Teams and systems. So go ahead, bro.
Beautiful. So number one, if your career is taken off to a point where it's overwhelming and becomes impossible for you to keep track of it on your own, that may be a great indicator that it's time for a manager to step in. Uh,
Right.
Number two, if you have started to grow a consistent following and are getting asked to do press interviews, that is a wonderful indicator. Number three, if you find yourself too consumed with the business side of your career, that you are no longer having the type of time that you need to work on the creative side, that is another fantastic indicator. Number four, if you are being approached by labels, getting asked to tour and expanding into a business model that is no longer sustainable with you alone, this is another
Mm.
great indicator, especially for musicians, but for other artists, it is the same. You might be approached and be asked to do festivals or be asked to get involved in any of these other types of things that may be uh, normal systems for your line of work. Number five, if there are several labels and or managers who begin to reach out to you, this is definitely a super strong indicator that you're ready to take this step. And of these five, I'm curious which ones you, Mr. Black, feel like if it's one that is going to resonate with you the most. Uh,
All right, let's
one do you
see.
feel like?
I resonate with. Well, I guess let's maybe which ones apply to me in my career at this point. My career is not overwhelming. I'm doing all right, keeping track of it on my own. I have started to grow a consistent following, but I'm not getting so much press, so I'm not really at that point, or we're not at that point. I do find myself consumed with the business side, but it's with my business partner, like my day job, more so than everything else. Like I have to put in so much time in my day job that I can't focus on the creative side of just doing podcasts, just creating art, just writing, things of that nature, making music, making content. I'm not getting approached by labels or asked to be on tour. And yeah, the business model that I have is sustainable, but I would like to scale. And yeah, not several labels and managers are not reaching out to me at this point. Um, so but I do think these are very, very, very good signs of that you ready for management and ready to take your art to the scale your art to the next level. Well, at this point, you've already started to scale, and this is kind of where we were going back and forth about because I was always trying to communicate that when it's like my favorite Lao Tzu quote, man, when the student's ready to master will appear, like getting if you do have management, you need management at your level. You need to be like working adjacently and not working with someone that's above you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I've got a couple of things that are popping out at me. So in terms of that question right there, I can say, well, yeah, I mean, a management artist relationship is best, when people are walking together, side by side, working together rather than one under the other, right? Like that's not going to work, not going to work well over time. What does stand out to me though is that at this very moment, going through these five things, uh,
Yeah.
the review is one thing, but I'm curious because we've known one another for years, and it's not like you just started this work, and it makes me curious about at any given point in time if you had stopped to review these numbers, let's say 2 years ago or let's say 4 years ago, what would have been. And there's part of me that's like, don't even ask that question, be present. But I don't want for my ideals to stop us from making good content here at the Pass the Bag podcast. So it does make me
Right.
wonder if 2 years ago or 4 years ago that you would have looked at one of these 5 points and had a stronger indicator that, management was appropriate. What do you think?
Uh, so 5 years ago, like 3 years ago, 5 years ago. When did we first meet? We first met in what, 2018? Yeah,
I
2018.
was 2018, early 2018.
2018.
Maybe
So it's been
it might have
no,
actually,
it
it was
was late.
2017. It's 2017.
Did I meet you
Mm.
before I left?
Yeah. Yeah, we met in
Yeah.
2017. I got there 6 months after the raid.
Right. So yeah, at that point, no, I would have still felt the same way about all of these points. My career was taking off. I think I'm at the same. I'm not really at the same. I'm at the same point now as I was then because I had to
Mm.
start all over in a new country, based in a new environment, new band, new project. So yeah, I'm at the same point now as I was then. So I would probably give the same answers now. Um,
Mm. Okay.
but I would have, I think, if I knew now, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have gotten more serious about, building a following. specifically on social media, like a following that I can use that data. I can use that data as evidence that I'm hot, you know,
I hear you. I hear you.
because
Yeah.
being in China and being away from all of the normal all of the other social media tools like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The only one that you have access to in China is TikTok. But being, I would have been more focused on developing those LinkedIn, even LinkedIn. So yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
I would say, having observed, some artists, I would have said that there was a lot of times where I did notice that the demand
mm,
of, your talents, um, was so great that you didn't have enough supply, and that was a great indicator for management, because at that point, prioritizing,
right,
well, which places that you're going to be at, and what it takes for you to, step into a venue,
right.
pass up jobs, is the type of thing that is better for a manager to, figure out and handle, versus for you to be able to, versus for you to get into that as an artist. I can say that there were times.
100%.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm
you.
at that, and I'm definitely still at that place now, but I'm just doing it with my band, and I've just gotten better at negotiating, and I just got better at just believing in myself and believing in my price.
I
Um,
hear you.
and that's something that just takes like maturity and just understanding your worth, understanding your value, understanding the market as well.
I hear you. I guess that's one that, maybe, let's see, to what degree is that on the list? I think that is, yeah, that's that. I guess it wasn't worded, exactly the same way. So maybe that is our point number 6 or so. Overwhelming, possible for you to keep track of.
But I've always, I got some advice, from I think probably DK Music Business Academy that talked about, building a manager. And I've always, wanted to
Mm,
go that route, where I found someone that was interested in working in this business, and that we would be able to, work together. Um, I just haven't, that person just hasn't, appeared in my life, or I haven't inspired that person in my life yet. So um, it would be great though.
wow. If anybody who's listening out there in Bagville, Bag City, Bagland, uh,
Bag City, bag City.
yeah, if anybody is listening, and you feel like that might be you, we can start the arms race, to manage Adrian, this very moment. Fantastic performer. You also know we have the Pass the Bag podcast here, which is a wonderful product. For the both of us, we're welcoming those conversations with, any
Why haven't
managers.
why haven't you considered managing artists and jumping the broom?
I
And
have.
I think you would be really good at it. You would be incredible at it, actually.
I have considered it, and, I wouldn't have brought it up, but, when a moment ago, when you just, um, made the statement about inspiring that person, and, especially for, the place, place where I am right now, in a transitional space in life, as an artist, as that time and energy into these creative pursuits, and, believes in art, believes in artists, and is passionate about these things. I can say that, that is a conversation that I'm, 100%, willing to, formally, really, really begin. So if some sort of platform, uh, that, I need to draw up, or, for us to sit down and put those hats on, I guess, the people here, who tuned into this episode, they witnessed the birth of said movement.
Nice, man.
Pass the
Well,
bag, baby.
that's very exciting. That's very exciting. That's great news. What so now that we okay, great. What is a good manager? This let's just freestyle this one, but let's throw it out there for the
Well,
people. And people, what do you think is a good manager? And this can be in all elements of life, not just music management, but some macro principles that apply to a good manager. And maybe you give one, I'll give one, you give one, I'll give one.
well, I mean, there's that thing that you've heard me talk about it, not just in business management relationships, but also in marriage. And management is like a marriage, right? Business partnerships is like a marriage. Um,
Right.
the first conversation is about your strengths, your weaknesses, your goals, and your timelines.
Right.
Period. You got to get a long term plan together because you want to prevent the type of a situation where time goes by and things happen, and then the artist turns around and says, I wanted to be doing this, but I'm not here. Well, if we didn't have those conversations, if we didn't have a relationship that was based on commitment,
Right.
then that thing ends up being insincere to a certain point. We're not going to jump and surprise each other with expectations that just come whimsically. No, the first thing is a good manager is going to sit down and they're going to ask you, okay, what do you have going on? What kind of assets and liabilities are you bringing to the table, and what specifically do you want, and when do you want it by? So that way they can make an educated decision as to whether or not them as managers that they want to take you on as a client and build that relationship. That's what I'm going to say. That's the first thing I'll say.
Yeah. Love it. Incredible. 100% agree. The goals and the timelines conversation is everything in art, especially. I mean, when you have a goal, I mean, when you want to accomplish something, you gotta be talking to your team about goals and timelines. It's everything. So I love that. I would say advocacy. Advocacy. Your management needs to advocate for you, advocate for the needs of your fans, your consumers. So let's say like your consumers or your fans. Your manager needs to advocate for them. Needs to be able to communicate with you like this is what the people want, this is what they need, based on me observing you in the wild. Like I'm observing you doing your thing. People really like it when you do this. Let's do more of this. So they would
Mm,
advocate for your fans in that way, or advocate for your clients in this way, in that way. Your clients love it when your business provides this service. So I think as a manager of this business, we should provide more of this service. Um, so that's that part. I think they also need to advocate for you to other people. Like they need to be approaching labels, be approaching A&Rs, be approaching agencies, and making you look dope. But not just making up stuff, but using like your experiences, using what you're good at, your strengths, highlighting them in a way that makes you look good, that makes you look like the best candidate for these positions, for these opportunities, and for these collaborations.
mm.
So, and
Yeah, that's
then
beautiful.
also advocacy for um I would say maybe advocacy for honesty. Like your manager also needs to be accountability, accountability buddy. They need to be like, if I'm fucking up, I want to know, and my manager needs to tell me. It's their job to tell me, that I'm blowing the bag, as we say.
Mm,
So it's also a management of resources. Like we have these resources at our disposal. We have this amount of time. We have these skills. You're messing up because you're not using them in the right way, or you're doing the best you can with what you got, man, and this is great, and like help bring you back to reality sometimes. But that goes back to the goals and timeline conversation. Like if your goals are manageable and realistic, your manager's job is to manage that goal.
absolutely. My input would be that part of what it is that you said has some overlap with what it is that I would also include. For ideal management, ideal management is going to um, be someone who's passionate and talented in terms of strategy.
Yeah.
And when we talk about art and we talk about most artists are independent contractors.
Yeah.
Even when they are, they have their own business entities set up, those entities are still, contracting in certain spaces, be those performance spaces or exhibition spaces or spaces to contribute, whatever it is that their talents are. So, the thing with management is that management a lot of times is this communication bridge between, um, the world of having, your feet on the ground and understanding what's taking place outside of the realm of creatives, and talking with creatives and translating that in a way where creatives can understand what the capacities of the places that are being targeted are, right.
Yeah.
And then they also do the same thing, for said venues, to translate. Okay, this is building that bridge, like to say, okay, this is who we have. This is what they can do. This is what they cannot do. So you might want this from the artist, but the artist isn't going to be able to give you this. If you want that, maybe you need somebody else. There's a
Right.
very, there's a lot of hype and things like that that can happen, that can take place. Art is very electrifying, especially, with music, and, there's different arenas, and those arenas have certain, hazards. And so, yes, when it comes to having that talent and passion, for strategy, the managers are the best managers, know how to be able to get in and out of those spaces, relatively unscathed, because they've done their homework, and
Yeah.
because they are, so many steps ahead of what's happening in those situations. Yeah.
Awesome. So we got uh a strategist, an ideal manager is a strategist, is a good advocator, and is also um understands your goals and your timelines and is having those conversations with you. And I think the last thing I want to add, and then maybe you have something else afterwards, but I would say the last thing I want to add is that they like your art.
Mhm.
um, they need to be a fan. It can't be just be about the paycheck. They need to like appreciate what you do and understand what you do, and like what you do. I think when somebody enjoys what who they're working for, like if you work for a company that produces a product but you don't like their product, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to really give 100% to that job. In my opinion, I can speak for me. If I work for a company and I don't like the product, then I'm not giving 100%. It just does. That's just simple human nature. Um, so yeah, they gotta like what you do.
I agree. It's
What do you
best to
think?
have
What do you think?
best to have managers who are fans. If it's one other thing that I could contribute, um, that's really at the surface, is that, not just liking what it is that you guys do, but it helps if you can, have a friendship, if you can like one another. If
Yeah.
you have a manager and your manager is not the type of person who, if your kids have a birthday party, if you are a parent, if you wouldn't want your manager there, that's probably not the best relationship. If you're not a parent, um, if this manager is not the type of person who, if they showed up to your home unexpected, and we're just in the neighborhood, and wanted to drop by, if after they left, um, if two times out of two, you would have rather for those people to have not been in your home, then you probably don't have the right manager. It helps for you
Right.
guys to have a relationship where you can say, not just between us as artist and manager, but if I needed something from this person, would this person be there on a human level? Would I feel good about interacting with them? Would I feel good about sharing a meal with them? Um, that type of thing right there. So that's the last thing I had to
Yeah, I
contribute.
think yeah they. I think it's important to get along. I don't think you necessarily have to be best friends.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's essential that you get along and that you respect each other. So yeah.
Absolutely.
And what do you think? Community. Pass the bag. Let us know what you think. It's not enough just to get that bag. You got to share that bag if you want to keep that bag. So please share your knowledge with us. Give us some game because we want to come up too. We want to come
Hey,
up too. So
Everybody
All
out
right,
there,
so
this the Money Bag, Pass the Bad podcast. Let's get into the next one. Yeah, yeah.
let's get into the next bag.